Welcome to another episode of Solo Camino, where we go to the painted churches of Texas. First, I stopped and picked up my friend Road Doug, who I was grateful was able to take this trip with me. I can't tell you how much I appreciated him coming along with me. He made it really enjoyable. Such to the point as driving down the road, we came across these cars. That is a 1950s Cadillac hearse. As we drive by, you'll be able to see it better. That is a very rare car. The first church we're going to see is St. Mary's Church of the Assumption in Para, Texas. It's near Flatonia, and this is where we chose to start our tour at. The church is a Catholic church built in 1895 by Czechoslovakian immigrants. The chandelier is an antique chandelier that dates back to the 1800s, and it was made in the former Czechoslovakia and brought over. It was later updated with electric light bulbs, but my Lord, I was impressed with that chandelier. The entire structure is hand painted. The walls have been redone, but the ceiling is still original. From the chandelier to the walls to the artwork, it was a very spiritual place. When I can, I try to stop and light a candle for my mother and my sister. Architecturally speaking, I was very impressed with the pillars and the way the ceiling joined to the pillars, and the fact that the entire ceiling was covered with what I would call lapboard. I'd never seen a ceiling made that way that allowed it to bend in very unique ways. Next, we were off to High Hill, Texas to see St. Mary's Catholic Church. I am noticing a pattern here of Mary's. That was founded in 1869 by German and Austrian settlers. And it's a Gothic revival structure. The inside, I love the gates that you use to get into the auditorium or the sanctuary. And I was again inspired by all the beautiful artwork, the chandeliers, the ceiling paintings. It was stunning. You can clearly tell that these churches were built before Vatican II. I also was interested in this pelican on the wall, so I did some research, and the pelican is piercing her heart to create food for her babies, and that is a symbol of Christ in the Catholic Church, but the imagery predates the Catholic Church. These images and these carvings were quite impressive. This is my friend Lester I met there in the church, and we had a great conversation. Doug finished his tour in his time and came out. And again, we're on to the next church. Both Doug and I were surprised by this scene. Neither one of us had seen this falcon bird. It's called a cara, and it was a beautiful bird. I'd never seen one before in my life. It was at the northern edge of its territory, I learned. And we were off down a dirt road to see the next church, St. Cyril and Methodius Catholic Church in Dubina, Texas. I hope I pronounced that right. This was a beautiful statue in the front yard in memoriam. I thought it was a very nice church. The inside the ceiling was covered with stars. The religious symbolism was less in this church. It was more nature, and I honestly liked that even better. I was very impressed with this church. It was built in 1909, and in the 1950s, the artwork was painted over. But as the paint faded, people rediscovered the artwork, using stencils found in the basement, recreated the paintings. That's amazing to me. I couldn't find any information on this chandelier, but it was still a candle chandelier. It had never been electrified. I thought it was interesting they notified us of a weak bridge half a mile ahead. And there's what we thought was the weak bridge, just a small little bridge crossing a creek, nothing to speak of. This road was called Piano Bridge Road, and we soon discovered why it was called Piano Bridge Road and where the actual weak bridge was located as we finished coming around this corner and it came into view. A very old, very weak bridge that creaked when you crossed it.
This is the narrow bridge. Oh, wow. Okay. Did you hear it creak? It wasn't me.
We drove to Shiner, Texas, home of Shinerbach beer, and we came upon St. Cyril and Methodius's Catholic Church in Shiner, Texas. It is a beautiful brick building that began construction in 1891, and it was completed later that year. It was built by volunteer labor from the community. It is a beautiful building. It was the largest one that we went to that day. The stained glass was what really impressed me in this church. After viewing the churches, we were both hungry, so we went to Joel's Barbecue. The building was cool. It was made out of firewood logs set inside cement. This was the meal we had, which I had the combo plate, beans, and after we were finished of a not too impressive meal, we headed on the road and headed back to Houston. It was a good and enjoyable 100+ miles back to Houston with my friend Doug. And as always, thanks for watching. It was a great trip.